You know what? I've been around for a while. I've traveled the world, met some interesting people, done some crazy things. So you might just think there's not much that could take me by surprise. You'd be wrong. The world is full of stories and science and things that amaze and confound me every single day. Incredible mysteries that keep me awake at night. Some I can answer. Others just defy logic. Like the man who falls 47 stories from a New York skyscraper to the street below and lives. Or what about the mysterious and deadly ice chunks, the size of basketballs, falling from the sky and smashing into people's homes? And then there's the bizarre story of the 7 dismembered feet that washed up on the beaches of Vancouver wearing sneakers. Yep. It's a weird world. And I love it. December 7th, 2007. New Yorkers witnessed one of the strangest events in the city's history.
I can remember myself and the other guys looking up and saying, it can't be.
Something that I cannot explain.
A dramatic accident with an outcome that justifies reason. Listen to this. Our modern way of life runs on rules. Laws that need to be obeyed, telling us what we can or cannot do. But really, most of these rules can't stop you from doing anything. If you choose to, you can break laws. But science is quite different. Take physics, for example. Here, there are indisputable laws that physically cannot be challenged, certain facts that are absolute. I mean, the laws of gravity are not exactly open to interpretation, right? It's nearly Christmas in New York. An exciting time for everyone in the city, including brothers Alcides and Edgar Moreno. A working team. December 7th is another regular day on the job. But the Moreno job is far from regular. High above the streets of the Big Apple, Alcides and Edgar do what would certainly give me the heebie-jeebies. They're high-rise window washers.
The window washers that I speak to seem to enjoy their work. They can enjoy the sunrise in the morning, and this is their chosen field, and they like it.
Today, the brothers will be cleaning the Solow residences at East 66th Street, in over 400 feet of glass. On the roof, the men prepare to launch a platform like this one. It's designed to suspend them on the side of the building as they work. Unknown to them, there is a serious malfunction, and the Moreno brothers are just moments from a terrifying and spectacular accident.
The 2 window washers were preparing to launch the rig that morning. They got their equipment ready on the roof of the building. So they had a bucket of hot water, they had squeegees, and they had this rig attached to a carriage and had electric motors that would elevate them and hold them in place.
Photos from that day show the brothers put down their lunches before positioning the platform.
It's approximately 22 feet in length by 2.5 foot wide, and it's designed to carry 2 workers.
Then they swung the rig over the edge of the building and got on the rig.
When the men stepped on the platform immediately gave way.
I saw the commotion. There were a lot of people standing in the street around the building, screaming and pointing.
New York State Safety Inspector Kevin Dillon arrives on the scene and is witness to the carnage.
There was debris all over the place, scattered all over the place. There was blood.
Tragically, 30-year-old Edgar Moreno was killed instantly. But among the wreckage, paramedic Gary Smiley makes an amazing discovery.
We entered the debris field because they had said there was a guy in there. And we started to move a lot of the metal and the debris. When I first saw him, he was in a sitting position. His hands were up around his chest. I went to touch him, and he gasped. And that took us aback because then we realized that this gentleman is actually still alive. I can remember myself and the other guys looking up and just saying to ourselves, it can't be. It's just impossible.
With no time wasted, Alcides is rushed to the hospital. The fall has left him with broken ribs and legs and severe spinal injuries. But just 2 weeks later, on Christmas Day...
I don't know what adjective you'd care to use. Unprecedented, extraordinary. If you are a believer in miracles, this would be one.
Alcides gives his wife Rosario the best present she could ever wish for. He speaks for the first time since the accident. He will make an incredible recovery.
I don't know what to tell you. I'm still in shock.
I've worked as a paramedic in New York City for approximately 25 years, and I've never seen anyone fall from that height before and survive. It's truly amazing.
And I think Alcides has a guardian angel. To fall in excess of over 400 feet, it's just truly amazing. It would be millions and millions and millions to one of the odds of surviving a fall like that. I just can't explain how he could do that.
Okay, even for New York City, this story is weird. Let's think about this. My single-story house must be what? 15 feet high? Even though I fell off my roof, it could be fatal. So imagine if my house was over 400 feet high. How can someone fall 47 stories and survive? The whole descent would have been over in less than 5 seconds. But during that time, something extraordinary must have happened. But what? So let's try and unravel this seemingly impossible mystery by starting at the top. It's up here that investigators have discovered that the cause of the accident might be the key to understanding how Alcides Moreno survived. According to evidence recovered from the accident scene, the fall was set in motion by two simple but deadly events. The first concerned the Moreno brothers themselves.
If the workers had followed all the safety rules and regulations, they would have been attached to their safety ropes and would have been left dangling on the side of the building.
So why weren't the Moreno brothers saved by theirs? Simple. They weren't wearing them. The second crucial event concerned the way the scaffold had been set up. Now, the window washing platform was supported by cables connected to two arms overhead. These loops of cables, fastened by crimps, were the only things securing the rig to the building. And while analyzing photos of the wreckage, U.S. Labor Department official Richard Mendelson discovered just how that rig failed.
Here we see a shot of one of the crimps. So this is a crimp we recovered from the scene, and the crimps are the attachment devices that were supposed to hold that wire rope together.
Amazingly, these two tiny crimps are capable of supporting the full 1,700-pound weight of a window washing platform and its crew if properly fitted.
What caused the platform ultimately to collapse was the fact that the crimps had not been pushed in enough. Since it wasn't crimped enough, the added weight of the two brothers, the two workers, as soon as they stepped on the platform was enough to cause it to fall.
But, and this is crucial, it's believed both crimps failed nearly simultaneously. That means the platform was more or less horizontal when it fell and the two men stayed on board as it plummeted to the street below. This is where hard science takes over. Physicist Professor Brian Schwartz has investigated every inch of this fall, and he believes the platform may have contributed to Alcides' survival by slowing the rate of his descent.
It's a very improbable event. If it were to happen again, the likelihood of survival is very, very small. The platform had a total area of 55 square feet, so that presented a fairly wide area, and as a result, the drag force was quite large. That cuts the velocity by about 50 miles an hour.
Okay, let's think about this some more. When objects fall, air resistance pushes up to oppose the force of gravity pulling down. If the men hadn't been on the platform, they would have hit the ground at around 110 miles per hour. But because the force of drag was pushing up against the bottom of the platform they were standing on, they were slowed to around 60 miles per hour. Does that help?
It's better than 110, but 60 miles an hour is still fast enough to really result in usually death.
So the fact that Alcides was still on the platform wasn't enough to save his life during the fall. But what about the landing? In some final split-second twist of fate, could something have broken Alcides' fall enough to save his life? Could the platform have helped him here? It's weird but true. High-rise window washer Alcides Moreno survived the seemingly impossible, a 47-story fall from a New York skyscraper. But how? As investigators pored over the evidence, they discovered something even weirder. An incredible series of events in the final split seconds that may have combined to break Alcides' fall.
What we can see here is we can see scrape marks and some damage to a parapet on one of the windows, and then a scrape going down the face of the building. And this is where we believe that the side of the scaffold platform impacted the short building next to it.
No one knows for sure if this impact was the moment that caused Edgar Moreno to be thrown from the platform and killed. One thing, though, is certain. Alcides remained on the platform, with the rate of his descent reduced as he entered the final phase of the accident.
The fall occurred in a certain way in which the sides of the scaffolding hit the buildings there in the alleyway, and as a result, the landing was a lot longer and a lot softer than it would have been had he just hit the ground flat.
After hitting a ledge, the platform struck a low wall opposite, breaking his fall further and causing the platform to react in a crucial way that saves Alcides' life.
When the platform impacted the adjacent building in that short wall, it collapsed into a V. And my understanding is that Alcides was located in that V when the platform collapsed onto itself.
But how would that have saved his life?
Being a big fan of NASCAR and growing up with the family, we've always watched these horrific crashes where the car rolls and burns, and all of a sudden you see a hand go in and releases a seatbelt, and a guy walks away from a crash, and you scratch your head and you say, well, how did he survive that, you know? And this, in my opinion, is exactly how he survived. I believe that the platform created a roll cage and protected his body.
The platform acted like a spring in some sense, that it broke his fall.
Wow, what an irony. The very platform that caused this terrible accident helped protect Alcides. But that's not all. You see, Alcides' posture may also have helped save him too.
The force of stopping got distributed over his whole body, so the force on any one part of his body was a lot smaller than it would have been had he hit, let's say, with his head first or feet first.
You had 47 floors worth of cable and rope that was down in the backyard. It was a pretty immense rubble field that he was just, you know, it's as if somebody just placed him in the middle of it, and probably the only, you know, survival position you could have found him in.
It's the last piece to this incredible puzzle. Against odds of millions to one, a bizarre series of events combined to save this window washer's life. Many people believe Alcides' survival was a miracle. Well, if you think a miracle can be defined as incredibly good luck, they may be right. But it was also combined with the mind-boggling dynamics of simple physics. I like physics.